Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
All right, another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. This episode, full disclosure, was recorded a few months back, and with all the different news breaking and different type shows I've been doing on Hobby Quick Hits, I've kind of just kept pushing this one back, but I think it's time to really release it. So like I said, it's got a little age on it, but it's still evergreen enough to do it. We're going to talk about, selling in today's market, but, in two facets. Someone like myself who has a tax number that does it, in plain sight, pays taxes, and those that have sort of an unfair advantage, if you will, and if you don't mind me saying so, those are those sellers who are selling product without paying sales tax, whether it's going up with a case to a table, my table included, and selling the dealers some cards that they can in turn resell or trade sale deals. And I get it, I get why it's done, and I understand it, but, to someone who pays taxes, it's sort of an advantage not to pay taxes. It's illegal, technically speaking, but, a lot of that's going on to the point where, the powers that be, IRS and the government, I think is starting to take notice. When we were in the thralls of the heavy part of the pandemic, we saw, a lot of people in the hobby boasting about sales they were making, and I just sold this for this and this for that, and I just sold a card for $50,000. Meanwhile, a lot of other businesses were struggling, restaurants and the like, and couldn't get supplies, and so we definitely stuck out like a sore thumb in a good and bad way to folks. Good that business was good and the hobby was booming. Bad to places who were losing their businesses and closing. But you better believe the IRS took notice. And remember, they're going to lose money on businesses that are closing or not making as much money. They're not going to make as much taxes on. And they're going to really seek out those businesses that are thriving under, tough times. And I think they've figured some stuff out, and that's kind of what we're going to dive into a little bit on today's show.
Hi guys, it's Max again from the Sports Card Show, and we are going to be doing our weekly releases for the Sports Card Nation podcast once again. On the 25th, we have 2021 Leaf Valiant Football, 2021-22 Panini Donruss Basketball, and that is our releases for this week. It's kind of a short one, but once again we have our weekly special. So, this week's Sports Card Nation listener special, 2021 Prestige H2 Hybrid Hobby Boxes for $149. Find us and follow us on social media @_sportscardshop to get the deal. Have fun, John.
It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
All right, I guess we'll start with the big story, if you will, this week. Wander Francomania, but also known as 2022 Topps flagship kickoff, was in Los Angeles with a few former baseball players, headlined by Ryan Sandberg, some of the Topps Project 2020 and Project 70 artist and some other people from the hobby. And Ryan Sandberg did the honors of opening the first pack, and we've already seen it hit the retail market. The Wander stuff is just bringing buku bucks early on. In relativity to, I think, what we all know will eventually happen. It's not going to be a short printed product. I don't think it's designed to be, but it's being reported that there'll be 30% more of the 2022 tops in comparison to the 2021 tops. I've been to a couple Walmarts. It's on the shelf there. Some reason, some way, I've not bought any. I'm not mad or anything like that. I just didn't grab any yet. I don't have any sort of I think it's going to be a product for me when I'm feel the itch to open. I'll grab some, which will probably be this week. I'm off from teaching this week, so I'll be out and about. I'm sure I'll hit a couple Walmarts in my travels this week, and that's kind of my plan, is to grab a couple blasters this week. But again, I don't have that. I guess, people call it FOMO. I don't feel like if I don't get it now, it's not going to be there. I don't feel like that push. And, I've really, again, slanted heavier vintage. So it's not calling my name out. Although, like I said, I'm not mad. I'm going to open some of it. It's just not a huge priority for me. We have a new soccer card record. The first ever soccer card to bring over $1 million. Checks in at $1.33 million. It is a PSA 9 Pele, 1958. I'm going to probably butcher this. Alan N'Bola set. It's sold on Rally, the fractional shares market, and got initially, I think it got a $1.1 million bid, and then someone came over the top with a 1.33 offer, and it has been sold. Again, it's the first soccer card ever to eclipse $1 million, and it's one of 5 of these. So there's 4 other ones of this PSA 9 Ellen N'Bola Pele from 1958. So there's 5 total. This was one of those copies, bringing $1.33 million. Speaking of something more closer to my heart, near and dear to my heart, I'm not going to be able to afford it, but a Jackie Robinson debut ticket stub is on Heritage Auctions from his first ever appearance for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Did not get a hit that game, but got on base and actually wound up scoring the winning run in a 1-run ball game. And we've seen the emergence of ticket stubs, especially obviously on the graded side of the house, really take a step forward. And this will join the club. And it's, I'm not a ticket stub guy per se, but again, out of my league price wise, but something I'd love to own. And I'm sure a lot of other people will too. So it'll be interesting to see where this winds up with the final bid. All right, we got some good news. We talk every week about a robbery or a break-in. We got some good news pertaining to that. We have an arrest. Jason Cates is his name. I believe he's 38 or 39. He's actually involved, allegedly, in 3 different state card store robberies, including Kentucky Roadshow, Jimmy Mahan's card shop there in Kentucky. And so he's been apprehended. He faces federal charges as he's crossed state lines. So last I knew, this gentleman, use that term loosely, is facing a minimum of 10 years in prison. So hopefully these people that commit these crimes will get these penalties and this incarceration to be a deterrent from these other people doing it. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, but it's a step in the right direction when someone gets caught and pays the piper, as they say. We'll close out on a high note. One of our sponsors, SGC, on Wednesday, February 16th, announced they had the most single-day submissions in their 24-year history. So February 16th is a historic day in the SGC group, as they've, in one day, had the most intake. And I sent in an order this week, so some of those might actually be mine as well. So I'm part of history, so to speak. But all joking aside, I think it shows you the moves they're making. And, at that $30 level, even some bulk submitters for them are beating that $30 level. So they're making up, to me, they're making the most ground up in the grading niche, and to me they were always respected. But I think they're getting even more so from places they didn't get it before.
Answer my question! The question!
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
All right, my Facebook group for the podcast seems more active lately, and I've gotten some questions from there, and this is one that qualifies as that. And I've gotten this from more than one person, so I can't credit this question to one person. But basically, I'm being asked, why I don't like NFTs. I kind of explained it, but I'll answer it again. I'm old school. I'm not here to down NFTs. They're a huge hit, a huge success, but I'm old school to the point where, if I can't hold it, trade it, I was going to say sell it, but you can sell NFTs, and I guess you can trade them too. But if it's not a physical card or collectible or piece of memorabilia that I can have on my desk or in my hand or in a top loader or semi-rigid in my case, then it just doesn't do it for me. Having like a digital something, I just don't, for me, I don't get it. Again, I'm only speaking for myself. And, stuff you can kind of Google and screenshot on your phone and that sort of thing. It doesn't do it for me. It just seems too easy to sell and do, and it just, I don't want to get sort of down that rabbit hole. Now, full disclosure, I mentioned some months back when Topps released their baseball NFT packs, I did try to buy a few just to kind of dip my toe in the water, but got kind of hung up and caught up in there and didn't get any, and just through error in the selling platform. And that was the last time I attempted to purchase any. And really, again, just wanted to kind of dabble, and I took it as a sign from above, if you will. I don't know if it actually was, but I took it as a sign that this isn't your thing, John, and you know it. So I don't own an NFT. To be fair, I don't own any crypto coin. I don't do that. I own silver and gold, real, silver and gold coins and bullion. I own stocks. I'm trying to think what else, investments and that sort of thing. Fractional shares, I dabble with that on Collectible and Rally. So I just tend to be old school where it's got to be a real tangible item. Crypto coin, I think, not an expert. Just don't know. It's not real currency the way I see it. And I think the ones that are making out on that are the ones that got in real early. I think everything now might be a losing battle. But again, I don't know. I just kind of tend to stay with what I know. Someone might say, well, you're losing, profit opportunities. Maybe, and you might be right. But I'll make the same profit opportunities on the stuff I know, and so that's where I'm gonna be involved in. So there you go. Again, to me, it's you got to see, touch, feel. Someone could argue, well, John, you do fractional shares. You don't really own the card. I'm never going to own the card per se, but there is a real card that exists that you own a small percentage of. So, yes, it is tangible, and so that will be my response to those folks. Hey, everybody, time for another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. This show is going to be pertaining to being a seller in the market, and whether that's a legal sales tax holder like me who pays his taxes, or you're doing it with, you're going around with your cases to, people's tables at the show and selling that way, or selling online. There's some new things going on, with the hobby booming. The IRS don't believe, you better believe they're taking notice as well. And so we're going to talk about maybe some things coming down the line that some folks that are selling aren't going to be very fond of. So we're going to talk about those things potentially that may happen after we hear from our great sponsors, the guys at Mojo Break. But we'll be right back after that to tackle this subject. Hey folks, wanted to tell you about the best place to get some of your sealed sports card wax products. Great selection and some of the lowest prices on the web. MojoBreakShop.com is that place. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they're your guys, and they ship around the world right to your door. The Mojo Break name is one of the most trusted in the hobby. From sports cards to Pokemon, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders. Who won first place at this year's Topps Rip Party? None other than Mojo Break. Their prices are already great, but here's a way to save even more money. Use the code QUICKHITS, that's QUICKHITS, for 10% off anything on MojoBreakShop.com. They also have a full-service card shop in Santa Clara, California. So if you're in the area, stop by. They're open 7 days a week, so check them out at MojoBreakShop.com. All right, a little baseline background before we dive into some of this potential things coming up the turnpike. In 1987, I was 15 years old, and I wanted to start doing shows by myself and setting up at the local flea market. Well, to do that, you had to have a New York State tax number. You had to pay taxes on what you sold. So I acquired one of those and started doing shows / flea markets. And nothing has changed. By law, if you're a seller, you're supposed to pay sales tax where applicable. Some states have different rules and regulations. Some states may not even have sales tax. Some states do weeks where they sales tax amnesty to kind of drive up, commercial business and sales for businesses, and those are all good things. And what a lot of people have done is sell online, right? You sell online on eBay or other platforms, and you make some money, and no one's worse for the wear. No one necessarily knows what you made and that sort of thing. And I think eBay at one point was something like so many a certain amount of transactions. I don't know if it was 100 or 300, but if you're under that, it doesn't necessarily get reported. And if it's under $20,000 or something like that, it's not reported. Doesn't mean you're not supposed to pay on it. Just means they don't do anything pertaining to that. I'm not an eBay expert, so I could be off a little bit. But now, I'm reading. It doesn't matter to me because I track my sales and, just put that money away to put towards my taxes. obviously have tax write-offs to get that number down. The cost of doing business, buying inventory, things you lose on, those loss leaders, those sort of things. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty. But now I'm hearing, again, I don't want to come across as an eBay expert. eBay has a tendency to change their rules on the drop of a hat, but reading that anyone that makes over $600 on the site it's going to be turned in to the IRS, and you'll be getting or have to fill out a tax form and that sort of thing. It's going to be reported income. And so for those that it gets reported income and then you don't file, you don't disclose it on your taxes, you could be in for a rude awakening. And, those that are coming around to shows with those cases and selling their stuff without a sales tax number, they're probably in the best position if you're trying to make sales. And again, I'm not condoning this, I'm just talking about it. I'm someone who has paid taxes actually since 1987. I didn't pay employment taxes because I didn't have a full-time job, but I paid sales tax from the age of 15. So all these new rules and regulations are fine as far as I'm concerned, but some folks are not going to like it because they're going to be, called on the carpet for what they're doing. How does if you think the IRS is not watching the news and seeing the card market explode and these things going for millions of dollars, and they're not taking notice, you're fooling yourself. Believe me, I actually have a friend who works, let's just say, in the IRS in some capacity, and he says that it's something they're really, really focused on. And so they're going to start looking at, I don't want to make this a political episode, but I was reading, Biden wants anyone that has more than $600 in a bank account, they're going to start looking at that. What that means, I don't know all the details. So much of this stuff is so fluid, it changes from one week to the next. I guess the guys that go around from table to table with their cases selling on the non-dealer side of the table, they probably are in the best position, but again, don't think the IRS doesn't realize what they're doing too. And I'm hearing that some of them are even trying to track that or, crack down, if you will, on that stuff. How, I'm not sure, but, they're going to try to look into that stuff. So I'll share a little story from a recent show I did. I like to buy cards, obviously, to boost up my inventory. People come around, as most know, with their cases and, hey, are you buying? And so I usually say yes and take a look. And this one gentleman had a little small, case, but, 40 cards in there. And I tell you what, he had some nice stuff, truth be told. I picked a couple things out, and we kind of went to the first card, and I said, what do you got to have for this? And, he said $300, and it was a card I was willing to pay $300 for. And, I said, well, will you take PayPal? And I had the cash on me from at the show, but I wanted to pay PayPal because I had a decent amount in that account, and I even had a few sales from the show where I was paid via PayPal. So I wanted to use some of that show money to pay. It also is trackable. So in other words, if I pay via PayPal, I can claim that on taxes that I spent $300 on my business. Well, when I asked him, will you take PayPal, he was actually very snooty, and he said, no, not taking PayPal. And that was really the funny thing is, he doesn't know this unless he listens to the show, which I don't know, is, if he probably wouldn't have been so snooty about it and the way he said no and his body language, I could have still paid the cash. But the very snobby, the way he said no and the body language, and I handed him his case bag and said, "Okay, all set. Thanks for letting me look." And again, like I said, I could have bought it, but it was the principle of just the way he was. And I figured, it's not rocket science why he didn't want to take PayPal. PayPal's good. I would have paid friends and family, and he wouldn't have to pay any fees. But why do you think he didn't want to take PayPal? Because it's traceable, right? For the same reason I want it as a tax write-off. He doesn't want to claim the income. So I get it. But he wouldn't do it. And just because of the way he was, I wasn't going to pay the cash now. And so didn't get the card, but that's okay. Not a big deal. Life goes on. But, things are going to change. We're seeing a lot lower numbers when it comes to, the IRS and eBay and selling platforms reporting income and that sort of thing. And that's not by accident. This is, powers that be are seeing these record sales on the news. They're seeing the hobby be as mainstream as it ever was before. They're seeing athletes and celebrities get into space. They smell it. They can smell the money. So, so they want to get their cut, right? Uncle Sam wants his share. There's going to be people that skirt the system. That'll always happen, but they want to get as much of that pie as they can. So the landscape, is changing, and so people are going to have to, either play by the rules or try to outsmart the IRS, and we're going to see how that goes. I got asked by a friend of mine at the show, came up to me and we were chatting, and listens to the show, knows about the show, and he's like, "John, I know you buy from these guys that are going around table to table selling, but does it bother you that they're selling their stuff, and you're behind the table, you got to pay for your table spots, you got to pay taxes. Does it bother you that somebody can go around with a little case, sell their stuff, and maybe not claim taxes, not pay the table fee?" It doesn't bother. I'm not losing sleep over it, but I'm not excited about it either. I like buying cards, and truth be told, I try to buy cards. But I guess the answer to that is, and I told this to my friend there, I could do that too. I could sell that way too. I just don't want to do. I'm a little bit lazy, I guess. I'd rather just be behind the table, put my showcases out, put the cards in it, put my boxes out, my player boxes, bargain boxes, game used boxes, all that stuff out, and just make sales that way. I have a lot of stuff, so I don't really want to go around with just one box and sell that way. But it's free enterprise. It's America. You can sell your stuff. If there's a buyer for your stuff, you can be a seller of your stuff. So I don't, do I wish they paid taxes and they got a built-in advantage? Yeah, but again, that's not for me. I'm not to say, I'm not the IRS. I'm not, do I know they're doing it? Do I know it occurs? Sure. I'm not naive, but it is what it is. Until I work for the IRS, nothing I can do about it, right? So you make the best of it, and if that means I can buy something, from them for, whatever, and then turn around, and whether, either I keep it as a PC item or I turn around and make a little money on it, then I guess, that is what it is. Believe me, you can't. There's a lot of people doing that. So, it's not for me to be the IRS police. They want to crack down on that. They'll find a way to do it. And have nothing to do with anything I say or do. So, so there's some of the things for you if you're a seller out there, especially if you're not doing it above board, if you will, if you're doing it kind of underground and untracked and unpaid, if you will. I think the landscape is going to change, or the powers that be are going to at least attempt to try to change it and get their just due. So it's going to be a little, it's a little cat and mouse game, truth be told, and so we'll see how both sides respond with that. So we're going to wrap it up right there, and so once again, thank you for listening to Hobby Quick Hits, and we'll see you very soon. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Thank you out there who joined us and downloaded and listened to the show. And just in closing, I just want to say, as far as the main topic of the show, paying your taxes, selling not, I just wanted to come at it from a perspective of someone who did. If you're a store owner who's paying taxes, or a show dealer who's paying taxes, and you heard this episode, give me feedback on what you thought. Do you agree, disagree, your thoughts, your concerns, as someone on that side of the table, if you will. So, we'll keep this closing short and sweet, but yeah, and even if you're one of those that I talked about that isn't paying taxes, whether you agree or disagree with what I said, I appreciate your feedback as well. We're all in this together, as I've said on other shows, and just a reminder, Wander Mania has started. Be safe out there, but have fun. It's interesting to see just people, going nuts over the flagship release, and I haven't opened any yet at the time of this recording, but I will. I'm not going to not open it, but I'm not, not in a rush. It's going to be around, and it's not going to be short printed by any means. So I'll get it kind of when I run into it, if you will.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.